Good evening, guys. Hey, Tom. Let me get full screen up here. There we go.
Let me try that again. How's it going, Bert?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I said it and I'm like looking and I'm like, okay, the mute's still on, so he didn't hear that.
It was like that. I had two town meetings from work today, and on one of them, one person started talking for a minute and was mute. So it's like, I'm sorry, I don't do well reading lips at all.
You just have to look at the body movements and you know what
Yeah.
they're saying.
Yeah.
So it looks like we missed the snowstorm.
I know. It was last night they were saying 3 to 6, then it was 2 to 4 this morning. Now it's kind of more like, oh, maybe a little and rain pretty much.
Yeah, they're doing a pretty good job of skating all their predictions.
Yeah, true.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
it's a little sharper.
What do we got? How much time? Still 15 minutes, right?
Yeah,
All right, I'll be back in a bit.
sounds good. Okay.
Stop. I have a chair upstairs. She makes it work. Make sure you turn it off. It's big and- I should sleep in here. Home's here now. You're gonna take a leak. You'll be impressed.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening, Tony. Hello, everyone.
I got to get a cool headset like Colin.
You do? I'm sorry. This is limited edition.
Is Humpy on?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My sidekick.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Don.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
Dominic.
Hi, Dom.
And also quiet.
Good evening. I want to say everyone looks just as good on the screen as everyone does.
Oh,
in
we
person.
still got 3 minutes.
Tony, did Mike Woodlock reach out to you?
You're a liar.
Joe, I connected with Tony, and
Yes, he did. Yes. Thank you.
I understand he won't be here tonight.
That's correct.
With Tony and I understand.
Yes. I was trying to do the math. How many do we need for a quorum?
8. I think we
I was
need,
hoping
we
Hamdi
need
could
9 that,
remind me.
I think it's 9 now that we have Ron Schneider. I think we're 16 at this point, aren't we?
Is it 8?
Let me check.
The tree work looks amazing. They've got a lot of work done. I don't know how many of you have seen that.
Paul Mitchell. So we should be at 9 right now.
The tree work looks amazing. Got a lot of work done.
Kind of 10.
10, I think.
I think I-
Yeah, I was there last night for a school committee meeting and looks good. Looks real good.
I just looked at the roster. I think I counted 15.
Yeah, we should be at 10.
Hamdi, I know you just joined. Question for you. What do we need for?
Right.
a
Well, we're
quorum?
at 10. So we have a
At
quorum.
10? Okay.
Will Hamdi be joining us? Okay.
What do we need for
You're muted, Hamdi.
I couldn't hear you, Tony.
All right, 6:30. We're getting started. David, you ready? The question was how many we needed for a quorum, but we have 10, so we should be good.
Yes.
Okay. And just a reminder to everybody that we'll have to do roll call. So will you be handling that, Hamdi?
Sure. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Pauline?
Here.
Hillary?
Hey, Hamdi, we can barely hear you.
Can you hear me right now?
Much better.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Matt Hansen? Matt is absent. Rebecca? Rebecca is absent.
No.
Tony?
She's here.
No,
She
Rebecca's
is
here.
Rebecca's here.
She's
She's
here.
on mute.
Okay, I don't see
Sorry, I'm here,
Rebecca.
present.
Oh, okay, sorry. Tony is here. Mike Flanagan?
Yeah.
He's absent.
Absent.
Dominic?
Here,
Chris Pollitt?
Here.
Michael Woodlock? He's absent. Ron Schneider? Ron is absent. Bert?
Here.
Amy?
Here.
Paul Mitchell?
Here.
Todd Goodrich? Todd is absent. Karen?
Here.
Joe Messina?
Here.
Thank you.
Is that it, Hamdi?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tyngsborough Middle School Building Committee meeting, January 25th, 2023. Thank you for joining us Zoom due to the weather. We felt it was in everyone's best interest to have the meeting over Zoom as much as I like to meet in person. So we did attendance. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the January 11th School Building Committee meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? And at this time, we'll have to do a roll call vote again. Hamdi,
Ole,
In favor.
Hilary absent, Mete absent. Becky,
In favor.
Tony,
in favor.
Dominic,
In favor.
Chris,
In favor.
Bert,
In favor.
Amy,
In favor.
Paul,
In favor.
Karen,
In favor.
Joe.
In favor?
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'll turn it over to David.
Thank you, Tony. I'm going to just mute a few people. Apologies. It's just I want to make sure there's no background noise. So if you have any questions, obviously unmute or put your hand up. Everyone can see the screen. Thumbs up. Beautiful. All right. So tonight we approved the meeting minutes. We have no budget update, no invoices. So none at this meeting. We're going to do a permitting update. It'll take all of 15 seconds. We're then going to be presenting the recommendation to award an RTA for abatement and demolition. This was forwarded to everyone either on Friday evening or Saturday morning. I can't remember. Along with the Fontaine Amendment number 1, which includes that scope of work as well as ancillary kind of enabling scopes of work as well. Fontaine will do a quick construction activity, what has occurred and what is going to occur, a look ahead. And then we're going to have JCJ do an exterior and interior finished material presentation. I could possibly drive, and then Emily can just tell me what to do. I follow directions pretty well, and I do really good when I'm at home, and I'm at home. So, and then public comment and future meeting dates. So with that, let me just get to the right button. Okay, so permitting update, the select board special permit. As you know, we received the approval, but it's all been filed with the Registry of Deeds. We have a copy of it, so that is done. Conservation Commission, again, we received all approvals on January 10th. We received the sign permits on the 17th. The town has recorded the permit and the order of conditions with the Registry of Deeds, and we're waiting for a copy of the filing, which I understand is in the mail. And then we have a meeting that we're going to be attending with the Drake Water Supply District on February 15th. Semiotis, IMEG, Fontaine will be present. I think there's no concerns there. It's just part of the process that Semiotis is handling on behalf of the project. So the award of abatement and demolition scope, Fontaine received 6 bids, as you can see across the top. The control value in the DD estimate, the current control value is I'm going to round $625,000. They received 6 bids. Obviously we listed Select as bid A. They're the low bidder at $537. When you add the SDI insurance, it's at $543,713 as compared to the design development control budget. This scope award is essentially $80,000 under the current control budget. If there's any questions, or if there's no questions, I have a motion I'd like to read, and I just need someone to move the motion. It would be motion to approve the recommendation to award for abatement and demolition associated with the gymnasium for the value of $543,713. I would need someone to move that.
So moved.
Moved by Bert, second by Mr. Pollitt. Hamdi, you're up.
Well, I just
Any
said-
further discussion?
Any discussion?
Yeah, any discussion?
Karen, I think I saw your hand up. You'd have to unmute, please.
You have to specify the name of the company that's going to do the demolition in this. Like, we're just authorizing money to whom or for whom, or do?
It's Select Demolition.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the names, Select Demolition.
I
Um,
didn't hear you say, maybe I missed it. I didn't hear you say their name in the,
Oh, and in the motion, no, I did not mention their name. I'm neutral. It doesn't have to be in the motion because, we are just authorizing the recommendation to award that Fontaine gave to us. And the recommendation to award specifically says Select Demolition. And it has their value.
but that's not the but don't you think that they should be mentioned in the motion that we're bidding on?
I can amend the motion to approve. Well, someone would have to, can we
I do
just
a
simply,
friendly amendment and just
yeah.
add the name of the company in the,
it's neutral. So if it's easier to include it, motion to approve the recommendation to award for abatement and demolition associated with the gymnasium for a value of $543,713, which will be awarded to Select Demolition out of New Hampshire. If someone could move that motion.
I'll move it again.
Moved by Bert.
I'll second it.
Any other further discussion? Seeing or hearing none. Hamdi, you're up.
you want to vote on it?
I'm sorry,
Well-
Karen, I couldn't hear you.
Do you want to vote on it?
Yeah, that's what we're doing
Yes.
right now. Hamdi's going to do a roll
Oh,
call
and he's
vote.
gonna, I'm sorry, okay.
Pauline,
In favor.
Rebecca,
In favor.
Tony,
In favor.
Dominic. Dominic,
I can't hear anyone.
Yeah. Coming through muted.
Hamdi, it's very difficult to hear you. I think you got to speak right into it or change your audio setting, unfortunately.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay, so Dominic,
in favor.
Chris,
In favor.
Bert,
In favor.
Amy,
In favor.
Paul,
In favor.
Karen,
In favor?
Joe. In favor. Motion passes.
thank you, Hamdi.
Yes, motion passes 10-0-0.
So the next item is Fontaine Amendment number 1. Again, this was shared with the building committee either Friday evening or Saturday morning. So we have a column, the CM agreement. This was previously approved, I want to say in June or July of last year for, I'm going to round 5.9 million. This amendment includes limited project requirements, the trade contract, which is the RTA we just approved of 543,713. A limited amount of allowances and holds that are associated with the enabling work, and then a prorated CM contingency of 2% for a total value of $1,259,021. The motion I will put on the table for someone to move is motion to approve the Fontaine Amendment number 1 as issued and presented for a value of $1,259,021.
Could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion. This is
I'll
Joe.
second.
Okay, Joe Joe moved the motion, Chris seconded it.
Yes.
Discussion? I'm not seeing any hands, so I just say we can go into a roll call vote. Hamdi,
Pauline,
In favor.
Rebecca,
In favor.
Tony,
In favor.
Chris,
In favor.
Bert,
In favor.
Amy, Amy,
In favor.
Paul,
In favor.
Karen?
Karen, I think you spoke before you were unmuted.
Yeah, sorry. In favor?
And Joe?
In favor?
Motion passes.
Thank you, Hamdi. All right, I'm gonna pass this over to, I don't know if Rob or Chad is taking this one.
Yeah, I'll provide the update, David. Thanks.
Thank you, Chad.
So right now, current progress on site. As everybody can probably tell from driving onto site this week, we had the tree removal activity ongoing. As of today, all the trees are cut down. By the end of this week, all that area and the image you see on the screen here will be all cleared out by Northern Tree. So that stuff will be wrapped up by the end of the day on Friday. Fencing's ongoing. Right now, you'll start to see some of the chain link fabric going up along with the scrim on the south side of the site closest to the existing bus loop. Those guys probably have all of next week to really wrap that stuff up, and then they'll be completed with our phase 1 fence. For a look ahead, so with abatement, we are hoping to mobilize February 20th, which is the start of the school's February break. We're also, during that time period, looking at relocating the existing telecommunications line. And the goal there is to do the disconnect and reconnect at the middle school while everyone's out on break, so we don't interrupt existing school operations. We're also looking at some work we have to do in relation to removal of that sky bridge. This work is actually in the interior of the middle school, trying to plan to do that during February break as well. We have to put up a kind of a temporary partition, drywall partition with a set of doors in order to be compliant with code and means of egress. And then in the background of all this, together with Left Field JCJ, we are doing some planning and procurement operations for ERP2, which will be site and your superstructure.
Thank you, Chad. And then I'm going to defer to Emily and Eric. I know you're going to kind of do this presentation, and do you want me to drive and you tell me where to click, when to click?
Sure. Yeah, I can just say next slide and we can go from there. Thanks.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Obviously, I'd love to be in person tonight, especially talking about finishes and materials for the project. But we're going to do our best to showcase everything that we are proposing for the project, exterior as well as interior. We did meet with the team, the working group on Monday to review. So that has been reviewed by Chris and Mike Woodlock previously. All of this will be based on previous iterations that you've seen as far as the exterior goes. And then when it comes to the interior, we have presented the color theory in the past. And so this is an expansion of that color theory, bringing in actual materials and colorways that we are proposing throughout the building. One thing that we do want to note as a caveat is that some of the materials, we still are in some selections. We're looking at some options. So these are not final, obviously. We want to get, and the committee's thoughts and opinions on that as well. As you do, as we go through, when you see furniture, this is not a furniture conversation. You will see furniture in the renderings, but that will be a separate phase. So the furniture that we're showing tonight in these renderings are really just placeholders. We're really looking at the building materials and finishes. So with that, I'll hand it over to Eric to start with the exterior materials, and then we will transition over to the interior.
Thank you, Emily. Good evening, everybody. So this is hopefully a familiar image to everyone. This is your future campus. And we've always talked about how the exterior of the middle school was going to be in the same family, but not twins to the high school. So you can see that, even in our early renderings, what we were trying to pick up on was the two-tone use of brick, the red brick and the tan brick blends. So you can see that reflected in the overall massing. You see the bands of tan, you see that gymnasium and the band room in this from this angle. Those are the sort of more tan masses with red accents on that. So next slide, David. Thank you. So again, giving you a close-up right there on the main entry. This is, your main entry to your new school. This gives you a really good flavor of the kinds of materials that we're going to be using. There's the 2 different shades of brick. We're using some fiber cement panel, both at where you see the name of the school, Tyngsborough Middle School, and at the canopy above. That's really only used in a few select locations, like canopies like that. And then you can just start to see on the underside of that canopy, there's kind of a wood look material, which we're going to also carry into the interior. So you'll see that in my slides. You'll see it in Emily's slides again later. It's going to keep popping up. Next slide. So a real quick summary of those materials. Really, the building is primarily a brick building. We have the primary brick, which is the red brick. And the selection we've made there is it's the same brick family as the high school. It has a good color pattern, but we're using a different size of brick. We're using the standard kind of more modular size rather than what's referred to as an econo size, right? Which is kind of a larger, more square brick size. To work off of that for the accent brick, that's where we're really starting to diverge just a little bit. So that's picking up on the same colors that exist in the high school. But if you're familiar with the building, the tan brick on the high school has a lot more patterning. Some are more tan, some are more yellow. There can even be color variation in the individual brick. For our kind of accent brick, we want a more uniform look. It's a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more reads as a mass rather than as individual bricks, which you would see typically in kind of your traditional red brick building. You'd sort of see every brick. The tan brick is meant to kind of appear as a larger mass. There's also a CMU base course on the building. It's really only the bottom 8 inches of the building, so that when the brick comes down to grade, to the lawn, that's the material that meets the grade. It's just a little bit more robust, and it kind of produces what we might call a water course on other kinds of buildings, but it's only 8 inches tall in this case. Picking up on those accent colors of gray, we're going to use kind of a dark gray for our canopies, our main entries, for that fiber cement panel here. And we'll pick up on that same kind of theme when we look at the mullions for windows and things like that. We'll try to keep it in that kind of same neutral gray tone family. And then the last item on the right that you're seeing is the soffit material that we saw in that main entry rendering. That's going to be used selectively on the undersides of canopies and for a few accent wall conditions right around the courtyard. And you can see that image that's showing that it's a linear product. It will have with the ability to kind of integrate these long linear light fixtures into it. But the finish isn't exactly what you see in the image there. The finish is really, we have a finish block right there to show that it's a little bit less red than the kind of the rendered image that you see with the furniture in it. Next slide. Oh, now we're on the interior.
And of course, if we were in person, we would have these samples in front of you. And so at a later date at another meeting, we can always bring these samples to showcase, because it's always a little harder to see it on the screen. Different screens, showcase some different colors. And that's true for the interiors as well. But what, as Eric mentioned, how we're trying to tie in the exterior into the interior. And so as I go through these slides, you're going to see an imagery slide like this, and then we're going to go into some renderings as well, so that you can see how these colors and materials really work together within each of the spaces. And so moving right from the exterior to the interior, the vestibule area, we do have that return brick into the vestibule on the south side only. So you will see a mix of that brick. There we have recessed walk-off mats. That's to help with the dirt and stones and traffic as students and staff are coming into the building. We then transition into the main lobby area, and that wood look ceiling, it's really a polymer linear material that is rated for exterior as well as interior. When we move into the interior, it will actually become an acoustic product so that you will get sound acoustics that are needed for that space. And so that material will transfer all the way through the exterior to the vestibule and down that main corridor, all the way down to the heart of the school. The flooring, once we transition out of the vestibule, will be a plank style vinyl tile. This is a heavy duty vinyl tile. It has some variation and look to it. We're looking for a darker look that will help ground the space. We then have porcelain tile wainscoting to 3 feet high that will help, provide a very durable finish on the wall products. Next slide. And so here you can see, and we have a couple options we'll just show. This is how the wood material then moves through the space. It runs down part of the wall on the second floor, providing a nice, rich, warm look when you enter the building. We have that darker floor that really grounds the space, the tile. And then on the right, you'll see some acoustic panels above the display cases, and those will have a graphic on them. We're trying to tie in that nature theme. The exact pattern and graphic is to be determined. We're going to work through designs with the team on that, but we wanted to showcase how that could be integrated into the space and really tie the theme into the main entry of the building. Next slide. The only difference here is that we've added the wood to the where the name of the school is as you enter. So this is something that we'd like either your opinions. We can talk about that if we want to integrate that as well. But we wanted to just show how we're working through some of the design options within the spaces. Perfect. Thank you. Next slide. As we transition from that main lobby down into the heart of the school, we enter the gathering stair area. And so many of the finishes will remain the same. The wood look ceiling, it will be in that whole gathering stair area to the exterior canopy into the courtyard, as well as transitioning down the walls there as well. So we're tying in all of those concepts throughout the building. Here we're just showing what the stair and bridge railing system might look like. We're looking at something that has some visibility to it, so it's not too solid. It has a nice light sense. As far as the stairs go, the stairs, we're looking at a vertical perforated metal riser. That's the vertical portion of the stairs, and then a porcelain tile at the tread, just for durability in that area, because we know it's a very high traffic stair area. And that would have a metal slip resistant nosing. Next slide. And so here's an updated image looking from the cafetorium out to the bridge and the stair and through that courtyard. And you can see how the bridge and the stair feel very light, almost like they're floating. The eye really is trying to look past that into the courtyard and out that glass and where that nice natural daylight is coming in. Next slide. And so transitioning into the cafetorium, as well as this proscenium and the stage area, here is where we're looking at same type of material for the floor, but a slightly different color and change. Because we drop down and transition in floor area, we're looking at a wood look in a herringbone pattern to kind of break up some of that linear feel that we have a lot of that linear feel going on in the building. We're bringing in the red accents here, which tie back to the school color. School pride is really important. So we have acoustic panels, accent paints that tie into that, as well as the main curtain and balance. Next slide. And you can see how that same rich warm wood also transitions in these portals, heading down to the cafetorium, to the stage area. The design of these portals is in conjunction with our acoustic consultant. We've worked very closely with Centec on actually angling those ceiling portions of the wood panels so that it projects sound out. The black spaces in between are acoustic panel system in a black that's all high absorptive, and then we'll have the absorptive panels on the walls. So we have been working very closely with them on that design. Any questions so far, or I'll keep moving along. Okay. Back within the heart of the school, we also have the flex performance space. This is really tying back to the black box theme. So it's very dark and black, as you would expect, as far as a black box type of area. We have a sheet linoleum floor and a dark black variation. We'll have dark charcoal walls with acoustic panels as well in that space. And the bleachers will be movable so that you can close them if you want to have a larger open space or open up for any kind of performance or event in that space. Next slide. Looking at the gym space. So this again, tying back to the school color, Tiger Pride, obviously very important to the school and to the athletic program. And so here we are integrating the red in the bleachers as well as the wall paneling, looking at some wall graphics, and then also at the logo. And we will work through all of these exact graphics with the administration team, obviously with the athletic director, but just wanted to show how this space could work with the different colors and different materials within there. We are showing how the windows, we have the tall thin windows, which will bring some nice natural daylight in, as well as acoustic panels to help with sound as well. Next slide. And associated with all of these spaces, we do have toilet rooms, obviously, locker rooms. And so bringing in, again, the school color, as well as neutral tones, grays and warm neutrals into tile patterns, drinking fountains, and in the toilet rooms, the locker rooms, and as well as even at the egress stairwells at the ends of classroom corridors, bringing just tying in all of those same colors in those types of spaces. Next slide. Moving over to the media center, this is another space that really is in the heart of the school, and that's tied really to those classroom wings. And this is where we wanted to start transitioning that nature theme into the space. And so here we have carpet tile. It's a plank style carpet tile, similar to the same size as the vinyl tile. It has a very organic feel, natural feel, where we're starting to bring in some of the nature tones of greens, yellows, but also including the red tones that tie back to the school color. But we really wanted this to be a very comfortable space. Students, it's really a multi-function space. So we wanted to be a little playful as well with the ceiling clouds that you can see, the circular ceiling clouds will be in a similar pattern like that, and the lighting. Next slide. And here you can see the rendering and how we're using some of those materials, using the green as an accent. It's a large wall, so we wanted to add some color within that space. We have a lot of natural daylight, and we have variety of heights of space. So playing with the different ceiling types, the linear versus the curve, kind of breaks up that, again, that linear feel that we have throughout the building. Next slide. And here we're transitioning, talking about the administration. So this includes the main office, the guidance, central office, and the nurse area. Here we're taking that nature theme, but leveling up the sophistication a little bit in the office spaces. So we have carpet tile, a couple different carpet tiles we're looking at, something with a little more pattern in the reception, passage areas, transitioning into the offices, and then changing that out to something a little simpler and more linear under the furniture. We have we're proposing a wall covering in the reception areas to add some texture and some patterning. Again, ties kind of looks like branches, so tying to that nature tree theme that we have. And you can see the other colors, some accent colors as well in those spaces. Next slide. And so here I wanted to transfer into the classroom wing. So this is where we are really taking the idea of nature and the seasons, the 4 seasons, and spreading those out between the 4 different wings. And so you'll see each of the slides will be very similar, just a variation in colorway. And so starting with the summer wing, this is one of the traditional general classroom wings. We are looking at transitioning that same wood look flooring into these classroom wing areas, into the corridor, the classrooms, and then adding accents. And I'll show you some patterns in a few moments of how we're looking to add those colors. And so those colors will be added in the floor. We have some accent walls. This will be in the classrooms, as well as in the corridors, some tackable panels, and then adding some fun patterning at drinking fountain tile in the toilets with those colors as well. Always anchored by the heart of the neighborhood, which will have that red that pops, that ties back to the school color in all 4 of the wings. And then we are also proposing a digitally printed graphic. We have wall protection on the wall as far as the wainscot goes. This helps just protect the wall, kids with their backpacks and things like that from preventing any damage. This same material can also be digitally printed on. And so we're looking at a section of the wall where we can tie in that nature theme and incorporate a tree that's part of the local native trees in the neighborhood. So for example, in summer, we're proposing some kind of abstract American elm type graphic in that area. And it just helps kind of anchor and distinguish each area as their own. Next slide. So this is some of the floor patterning that we wanted to showcase. So the wood look would carry through the corridors. It would also be in the classrooms. But once you get to those teen neighborhoods, or what we call the heart of the classroom, at the four classroom spaces, the color would be evident. It's kind of like a wayfinding landing place. And then it spills out into the classrooms just slightly, because once you get into the classrooms, you're going to have a lot of furniture, not really a lot of need for a lot of pattern. So you'll have the nice warm wood look, but that color really accents at those 2 neighborhood areas. And then a separate flooring that's very similar to the flooring in the main corridor, same vinyl tile material, just in different colorway at the heart of the neighborhood. And it's really to highlight where the working and collaboration areas happen. Next slide. And so this is an image of that heart of the neighborhood where you have the red accent, and that happens at each one, but then the flooring color changes depending on which floor you're at. And it really helps provide kind of a setting area for where the furniture should sit, and provides those egress paths when you have egress out and through the space. The fire marshals like that when we do that. It keeps furniture from migrating too far into egress paths. We also have writable wall surfaces, and as well as we're proposing a glazed film at the glass into the teacher workrooms, so that there is a sense of privacy, but they still have they can still see enough to see if something's going on. They still have kind of eyes on the street sense. Next slide. Here's a general classroom, so you can see how the accent color wall works in each of the wings. So depending on which wing you're in, you might have a blue, or you might have a yellow or green accent color. We have the wood look vinyl floor, and we're also proposing a dry erase laminate on the tall cabinets. This gives the educators additional writing surface and teaching surface, which is something that they requested during programming. Next slide. Here's an image of one of the typical science classrooms, again with the accent walls, the wood look floor, and then in here we'll have hardwood millwork with epoxy top resin tops on the counters. Next slide. And so now I'm not obviously going to go through all of this again, but this is just to show you how the colors do change between the different wings. So we have a commonality with the main floor color, with the wall protection, the millwork, the red heart of the school, but then you have the accent in the paint, in the floor, and in the wall tile that changes depending on which season you're in. So here we have that earthy and warm autumn colors. Next slide. We get to winter, it's a very crisp and clean theme with the blue tones, again, tying in the red. Next slide. And last but not least, the spring wing, which is very fresh and vibrant type of colorway with the bright greens and the warm yellows. And then each drinking fountain area, you probably noticed that each pattern is a little different. We were thinking of doing something different, patterning same shape tiles, but just a little different pattern, again, to help identify each of those wings. Next slide. The teacher collaboration, you saw the red also transitions inside those spaces. We have dry erase in those spaces as well for teacher collaboration and working through curriculum. And then that vinyl plank tile will transition from the heart of the neighborhood through those spaces as well. Next slide. So here's an image of the heart of the neighborhood in the steam wing. So this we're proposing as the spring wing. You can see the yellow floor, very similar in idea to the general classroom part of the neighborhoods, just with different accent colors. And we can use the furniture here as a way to also help as an identifier with color when we get to that phase of the project. Next slide. And I think this is the last one. This is an image of the STEM shop with the view into the robotics lab. You can see again how the accent colors work. We do have the tile, and here we will have a sealed concrete floor, which will just because of the equipment and the nature of the space, a little more industrial feel as opposed to the general classroom feel. So I believe that's my last slide.
It is, Emily.
Okay, great. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I see Karen's hand up. Go ahead, Karen. Oh, I think you're on mute, Karen.
Mute me. Okay. In the entryway, there's what's on the floor in the entryway of the school? That was like a dark color. Was that a carpet?
So at the vestibule, there will be a mix of recessed walk-off mat material. It's it's a grate type material. And then the surround of that will be walk-off carpet tile material. So we have a pretty deep vestibule there. So that will help mitigate a lot of that, the dirt and the water and the sand that comes in as people are walking through the building. So that's what we have. And then once you're past the doors, the interior doors, you then lead into a very heavy duty vinyl tile product. It's a plank product. It's a
waterproof product.
It is waterproof in that, I mean, it's tile. It's not, it's waterproof in that it's not going to damage underneath, but it's a very common product for that type of location. That's why we have the walk-off carpet and the recessed mat at the vestibule initially to take care of all of that. Yeah, so you can see on the bottom right, those materials.
So
And Emily, you want to explain the walk-off mat, how it's removable, traps the amount of dirt, prevent from.
Yeah, it's exactly. So this is very heavy duty. It's got the rubber treads, and then there's a carpet tread. So everything that comes off your feet falls in between and underneath that into a recessed area. The custodial staff can then remove that, vacuum it out, clean it, during a couple times a year. It's not going to happen every day, but that's how that works. And then there's the walk-off carpet tile, which has a nice grit to it. That's surrounding that material.
So I just want to make a couple of comments because I've not seen the materials. We were going to get an opportunity to see them, and I'm hoping that happens. But the vinyl wood-like tile that I know of is not waterproof. So I don't know what you're using, and I'm just concerned about just over time. Like, it looks nice when we build it, but over time. And I just wanted to make a comment that I'm just concerned that the entryway may look really dark with a dark floor, but I don't know how much light is coming in there. And then
Karen, what do you mean by waterproof, though?
the vinyl wood-like tiles that I know people have used in their homes, when you read from the manufacturers, it says that it can stand water on it, but it is not waterproof. Water
Yeah,
can't
that's a
sit on it.
different material. This is a commercial grade product that is intended for this use in heavy trafficked areas.
Okay.
So waterproof would suggest that it's sort of like retains water as you would in a swimming pool or a bathtub.
Right.
We're not trying to create that here, but again, it is a material that's selected for this application. And again, we were hopeful that we would be in person today so we could share the samples with the committee. We will have to do that another date.
Also, just as a comment, I'm not really a fan of carpets on floors in schools because over a short period, well, I don't know, like over a period of time, the carpet just, it needs to be replaced. This doesn't last. So
Sorry, go ahead.
other floorings last longer, tiles last longer, you know, all this other stuff you're talking about lasts a long time, carpets don't. So that's just my comment. I don't know.
So
I know it's an interesting way to add a lot of color. It can add some sound proofing and whatever, but it's not something that's going to last for 40 years. There's just no way. And then we have to replace it. So it's just a consideration for putting that material in there. I don't know, because I know like in like some of the airports, they do use carpet that's got a lot of traffic on it. And maybe it's better than the stuff I've seen in some of the schools that I've been in for a period of time. So I don't know.
The carpet has come quite a long way from the previous carpet of old days. This is all carpet tile, as opposed to a rolled good carpet tile, where you can see some of the buckling. Sometimes you see wear patterns. This all has heavy duty vinyl back. It's rated for high traffic. We have it only in selected areas. So generally it's the office spaces, and the media center is the only other location we are planning to locate this. What's nice about the carpet tiles is that there will be, the boxes of, extra tile to be saved. It, by the custodial staff, it's part of the project. And if something did get stained to the point that needed to be replaced, they can pop that tile out and replace it very simply. And so that's a really great way of being able to maintain the look without having to replace an entire carpeted area. You're right, it does provide great sound areas, especially in some of these larger areas. We do look at the patterning to help prevent some of that wear look, because a lot of the old carpets were very simple, solid, and you could see that here because of the durability. And again, of course, we love to be able to show you the samples. You'd be able to see the durability of that and the cleanability of it.
What's the manufacturer's durability? How long do they say that this carpet would last?
They have warranties well over 15, 20 plus years for the carpet. It can last much longer than that as long as it's maintained, which generally is just vacuumed and hot water extracted if there's a stain that happens on it. But because of the type of nylon that's used, it's meant to not stain. It's really high durable. It's what they call solution dyed nylons.
And if I could just chime in, install with that warranty. Install is a big thing as well. Install will carry that for, a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, what we can do is find out what the basis of design manufacturers warranties are, and we can report that back to the committee.
Yeah.
And to just reiterate Emily's comment about the location of these being in offices and the media center, which is, in board of when kids are just coming into the school. because by the time they get inboard to the media center or anyone to the offices, the walk-off mat and, it's intended that by the time you get that far, the debris is, I'd say, somewhat off your boots, off your shoes. It's inboard.
Yeah, it's not so, it's just the wear over time. So the hallways that you showed in the school, in the classroom areas, wasn't there tile on the sides of the floors in those hallways?
That's all vinyl tile, not carpet. It has a carpet type look, but it's not carpet. I think you're talking about what kind of looks in like a blue area over in the heart of the neighborhood. Is that?
It was on one of the ones you showed after you showed the different colors. You showed a room, then the walls going down, and there was different material on the sides. It looked like carpet, but maybe it's that vinyl you're talking about.
Yeah, the only places we have the carpet planned are for the main office. Maybe this area here.
Yep.
That is vinyl tile, not carpet. It just has a look which is kind of nice. That's kind of what we were going for in this area, to have that kind of warmer feel. But it's not carpet tile. We generally don't put those in these types of spaces.
And I just have one other question. Those were writable walls. So the writable walls that I see, you write on them with a marker and then you wash the marker off, but it doesn't actually clean the wall. There's a shadow behind it. Are these better than that? Like,
yeah, it's not a paint. It's not a paint. So we have
these are like boards that get put on the wall that I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like the white marker boards.
Yeah, we do. We have the porcelain. It's called porcelain marker boards. They're magnetic. It's pretty typical in schools. So we have those on both the front and the backs of the classrooms. And then we're using a laminate base for the doors of the cabinets. There's different sprays you can use. We have them in our office. We use it all the time. We do have a paint base in our office, but it as long as you can erase it pretty easily, and then there is just sprays that you can use that take it off.
But again, Emily, oftentimes when there's a ghost of the marker, it's using a wet rag, and water alone will not reactivate the inks of the marker to remove it. That's why you have to use the solutions that are recommended for that surface.
Correct. Yes. Thank you, Doug.
Any other questions from the group?
So if there's no questions, public comment. I don't know if there's anyone from the public here.
Bert has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bert.
Thanks, David and Tony. I just want to share with the committee what I sent off to David late this afternoon. Senator Kennedy has filed a bill in the Mass Senate for a special fund related to increased material costs for approved school buildings to not be less than $150 million of eligible funds received from the federal COVID-19 recovery funds. It turns out, looking at our town hall website, that Senator Kennedy is actually going to have office hours the night of February 6th at the library from 6 to 7:30. I certainly have no problems going and doing a little bit of lobbying for us on that. And I was going to ask David if committee's fine with this. Maybe you and I can talk next week and maybe put together what would be a couple of slides as opposed to a large group of things to give as a handout to him to kind of show him, kind of what we did. I strongly believe in your suggestion about the communities that have taken and done the value engineering piece getting preference over those communities that haven't. I think that's a very good idea, and I certainly would propose that strongly to him.
Thank you, Bert. You said it well. I think, this funding, if it goes through, and I don't know the mechanics of how it'll get through, but it'll be given to the MSBA, and it's the MSBA will be the vehicle to distribute it accordingly. And I hope that, and I feel that the MSBA will take it into consideration, the projects that implemented VE versus the projects that may not have implemented VE.
I'll be glad to send a copy of the bill to the committee tonight. It's just a one-page bill.
And thank you, Bert, for taking that up for us.
No
If
problem.
you need anything from Hillary and I, let us know.
Hello, David, I'll get to talk to you next week, and we'll figure out maybe a couple of slides to use. Yeah, I can give them as a presentation, but
Yeah,
be glad to do it.
absolutely. There's a couple slides that come to mind that are very high level and simple.
Sure.
And it almost could be printed as a handout. He could take it with him.
Terrific. I'll touch base with you next week.
Yep, anytime. Thank you.
Thanks.
I see no other public comments.
So future meeting dates, February 8th, March 15th, April 12th. That's all I have. Hamdi, am I forgetting anything?
David,
Do
are
we
you
have a
making a
motion?
motion?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yes, thank you.
Hamdi
Apologies.
and I are on the same page.
Yeah, and I rely on others to kind of correct me and direct me. So I have a prepared motion. I want to preface before I say this motion with what Emily indicated at the beginning, where this is kind of a living, breathing document process. Things can change and evolve. We're still in a kind of volatile supply chain market. So with that being said, it would be a motion to approve JCJ Architecture to continue to move forward in the direction of the exterior and interior finish material selection and palette as presented to the building committee tonight, January 25th, 2023. Noted is that this process is an ongoing design progression and is subject to continued refinement as well as subject to material and color selection availability as the project moves into construction.
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second? Mr. Messina? Hundy, you're up.
Roll call vote. Colin,
In favor.
Rebecca,
In favor.
Tony,
In favor?
Dominic,
In favor.
Chris,
In favor.
Bert,
I'm to your mic again.
Yeah. In favor.
Amy,
In favor.
Paul,
In favor.
Aaron.
I'm gonna abstain.
Aaron abstain. Joe Messina,
In favor?
thank you.
All right, I think that's it. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Paul vote.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Colin,
In favor.
Rebecca,
In
In
favor.
favor.
Tony,
In favor.
Dominic,
In favor.
Chris,
In favor.
Bert,
In favor.
Amy,
In favor.
Paul,
In favor.
Karen, Karen,
In favor.
And I am in favor.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Everybody.
Thank you,
Everybody.
everyone.